In less than 3 hours, the governor will be making his second primetime appearance in less than 2 months. Tonight, it'll be his annual State of the State address. And when it comes at a time, the state finds itself in dire economic times. ABC 6 anchor Paul Mueller live at the State House now with the latest. Paul, what's going on up there right now?
Well, John, as you know, the governor is expected to deliver his 7th annual State of the State address right there in the House chambers behind me at 7 o'clock tonight. On the agenda, of course, the dire economic times, as you mentioned. You know, a year ago, the governors had said that we were at a tipping point, that we were on the brink of a financial disaster. Fast forward 365 days later, here we are well past that tipping point. Now, hot off the press here from the governor's press secretary, some of the highlights of tonight's speech. As I go ahead and talk with you about them, we're going to show you some video from the governor's last prime time showing when he had pushed his supplemental budget to the public. The 4 key points we're seeing right now from tonight's State of the State address: the state of the economy, what we need to get through the economic downturn, how to ensure the state is poised for a brighter, stronger future, and how to build on the elements put in place this year to stimulate the economy and grow jobs. Of course, one of the major things that we're going to be talking tonight is the $357 million budget deficit that we are now facing for fiscal year that ends this June. Back live now, because so many people out there are facing the loss of jobs, the double-digit unemployment rate here in Rhode Island, loss of a paycheck, loss of health insurance, a foreclosure rate. Everything seems to be bad news right now. So joining us for a little bit more perspective on this is State Treasurer Frank Caprio. Thanks for being here. It's a big address tonight. You know, the governor, once again, is going to be addressing his constituents. What do you think he's going to say, and do you think it's going to do anything to get things going?
As you just summarized, last year we were in difficult times. The rest of the country hadn't caught up to us yet, but the governor correctly stated at that time there were important decisions to be made. Well, we've seen the national economy really take a turn for the worse, obviously, over the last 12 months, and now we need to deal with the reality of that here in Rhode Island. Rhode Island made some real structural changes over the last 18 months, but now we need to continue to make real changes, positive changes. You know, it's one thing to talk about what's wrong all the time. It's another thing to admit that there are some things wrong, but then focus on what we need to do to change those things. And I think that's what we need to focus on tonight, and hopefully the governor will spend a considerable amount of time on what's right and then what is wrong, but what needs to be changed.
And how about the economic stimulus bill? It passed in the House a couple of weeks ago, passed in the Senate just this afternoon. How much of a factor do you think that is going to play as far as the governor's speech tonight and the budget going forward?
A huge factor. It's really still an unknown how much money will be sent to Rhode Island and the other states and what flexibility the states will have with that money. But let's assume the state of Rhode Island will receive a chunk of money. The question will be going forward, what do we do with that money? Do we use it to pay the credit card bill that we have a big balance on, but we're going to run up a big balance again next month and not have the one-time money? That's probably not the best practice. What we need to do is use the money for more of a long-term purpose, something that doesn't just plug a short-term gap and has it reoccur in the next couple of months or next year. So that will be, I think, a theme tonight, where the governor will be saying we can't take the money and run, so to speak. We need to put it in a long-term, enduring program and make structural changes to solve the budget issue.
Treasurer Caprio, thank you very much for joining us today, first at 4. All right, and John and Erica, of course, we're going to stay here at the State House, have more for you coming up today at 4:45, and continue to monitor what lawmakers are saying as we anticipate, as we await the governor's State of the State address at 7 p.m. tonight. Guys, back to you.